Hey, Jeff. How you doing, dog? What's bad is that dude loves Jesus, man. That's funny. Anyway, that got me off. I don't know. I had to go there. I don't know why I had to go there, but I had to go there. All right. So I mean, we got all this nastiness on this side, and we got the good on this side. I mean, how in the world are we going to defeat this guy? Because here's the guy, the leader of this group, the guy that's supposed to be the strongest, the guy that's supposed to have the game plan, says, "I ain't fighting." And death looks like it's coming to our nation because there's no way we can defeat that giant. And this morning, you may be sitting there right now in your life going, "Andy, you don't understand, dude. You don't understand this addiction that I'm fighting. I have battled it. I've tried my best to lay it down, and I can't. I can't do it. It keeps raising its head up, and it keeps taking over my body. It keeps taking over my mind, and I can't get rid of it." You may be sitting there going, "Andy, you know, you say that we're God's chosen people. Right now, I don't have a relationship with God at all. And I am wandering in this valley, and I don't know what to do." You may be sitting there going, "Andy, man, I defeated that giant before, but it keeps raising its head back up, and I tried to defeat it again, but I feel like I'm going to lose my grip, and he's going to overtake me. Andy, what do I do?" We've got to plug into the source of power. I want to show you that source of power. I want you to read with me, and it's a very unbelievable verse. And I've got to find it right quick. Hang on just a second so I know exactly where we are. I want you to look right here. I think, let's look real quick, and we're supposed to talk about a guy, and everybody in this room knows who it is. His name is David. But before we talk about David, I want you to understand, let me tell you a little bit about David. David was a guy that was a kid. He was a kid. This morning I have a 13-year-old son in this room, I think. And David was 14 years old. A guy that just hit puberty. A guy that was out there, and he had been given a job by his dad, and he was a dang shepherd boy. That's it. He was a shepherd boy. All he had to do was keep sheep, and we think, well, that's not no big deal. Well, let's show you something, guys. Let's just look at something right quick. Just on the basis of David being a shepherd boy. Growing up in Crockett County, I lived about 150 yards from my grandparents. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Crockett County. We did actually have electricity, and that was pretty nice. But there wasn't a lot of light out there when the sun went down. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, even at 13 and 14-year-old, I was pretty scared of the dark. I didn't like things that moved in the dark that I couldn't see at all. And what was funny is my grandparents just lived 150 yards away, right across the bean field, or whatever we had in that field that year. And a lot of times my mama wanted me to run to Grandma's house and get something and bring it back. You with me? You see the painting and the writing on the wall, don't you? Okay, Andy, go to Grandma's house and get me a couple of eggs for this meal that we're fixing to cook. Okay, I go to the phone. I wasn't stupid, y'all. I look it, but I wasn't. I go to the phone. I said, "Papa, I'm coming across the field. Will you turn on the light outside and stand on the front porch? And I'm coming." Okay? "Okay, Andy. I'm out there." I'd go outside. I'd call Prince, my dog, my collie. "Prince! Prince!" And Prince come running up there. "Boy, here she comes. She's right there. You ready?" And see, and for some of you athletic folks out here, this is going to be far-fetched for you because I'm a white guy and probably look slow to you. But when I left high school in my first year of college, I ran a 4.440. And I owe it all to me being scared in the country. I'm serious. Because I tried to outrun a collie to my grandparents' house. And so what I did is I said, "On your mark, get set, go," and off I went. And if it was beans or something like that and they were already grown up, I couldn't run across there because Daddy would whoop my tail when I got back because that's money that you're knocking down. And trust me, I was knocking it down. So I would go around the edge, and they used to laugh. Now, they still tell these stories, my mom, and they would say, you could see the blonde hair going like that as I went around the edge of the field. And I was just doing 100, okay? And I'd get up there and I'd go, I'm here to get eggs, you know, like that. And so they had me eggs, and here I go back. And I owe my sporting career, me being fast, for fear and running around to Grandma's house as fast as I could because I didn't want nothing to get me. and that little collie dog that I absolutely love. That's what I owe my speed to, okay? But see, the thing about it is, let's look at David. I don't think David had a porch light or a grandpapa that was standing on the other side. As a shepherd boy, man, that's a really good thing during the day. Hey, we got all the sheep and they're all gathered up right here. Everything's good. Y'all stay here, y'all eat. Good stuff. But what happens at night? They don't go to a pen. They don't go to a corral. David is still out in the middle of the wilderness with these sheep, with all these things that he's supposed to be taking care of, that he's been in charge of, put in charge of by his father. And so with everything that is in him, he is guarding these things and taking care of them and making sure they're eating and growing and doing the things they need to do. But guys, he's doing it at night. And there's no electricity. There's no light around. Just for what God put in the sky. There might have been a torch that he had that he would mount right here in one spot. But guys, I don't know if you've ever been outside and you've had a torch or a light. You don't go very far. And if he's got 25 or 35 or 40 head of sheep, they go without into the darkness. And he has to keep them together. And so what happens is this 14-year-old boy is out there with a bunch of sheep, which are not very good guard dogs, I hate to tell you, alone. And during this time, out in the darkness are animals that are wanting a meal, that are wanting to come and eat stuff and tear up his sheep. And so he's got to protect that. The Bible says that God, the Lord, stepped up as he protected his sheep and he defended them off from the very paw of the lion and the very paw of the bear. That David, this little 14-year-old boy, defeated a bear and he defeated a lion as they come to attack his sheep. He guarded them with all of his heart, all of his might, because he was given a job. And he would do anything beyond fear, beyond size, and beyond anything that a man would say that he could do to protect what he'd been put in charge of. He found his source of power, and it was God. See, David sat out there, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been out in the middle of the wilderness or out in the woods hunting. Every time I go deer hunting especially, I find myself hanging out with God. If I go fishing and I'm by myself, I find myself hanging out with God. When there's nobody else to talk to, I always got God to talk to. And there's been many a morning that I've seen that sun come up and me just in prayer hanging out with God. And I think David had a lot of mornings that he would see that sun come up and he would find himself hanging out with God. And see, as an early age in his life, I believe that God began to work on him. Began to give him an idea, give him a plan for his life. See, this morning I want you to understand something. There's not a person in this room, and I don't care how deep and dark you are and how deep and dark your past is, God has a plan for your life. He has a plan that you're going to defeat giants. He has a plan that you're going to go out and you're going to share the gospel. The very gospel that was shared with you, with people. But the problem of it is you're allowing the giant to block your view of that plan that God has for you. But today, we're going to defeat that giant. Not just defeat it, we're going to take its head off. And that's when it gets really serious. So what in the world are these two armies going to do? What are they going to do? You got Philistines, Israelites. You got a Goliath that's standing there that has scared the badookie out of everybody. Nobody's standing up against this guy. What's really cool is David come in from the fields and he had brought his sheep in and he come to his father's house. His father says, "Hey David, I need you to do me a favor. Your brothers, I haven't heard from them in a couple of days. I'm kind of getting worried about them. And they're on the front line and they're getting ready. I've heard they're getting ready to fight this Philistine army. And son, it's going to be a rough battle. I don't know that we're going to be able to survive this battle. But I want you to do something. I want you to take them some supplies to the front line. I want you to take them some food. I want you to go and do that." "Yes, sir, Dad. I'll be glad to." Here's a 14-year-old boy that has no idea what he's fixing to face. But God has been preparing him, even through a bear and even through a lion. And you may look at your life right now and you may see some things that you've overcome. You may see some things that you've battled and actually felt like you are victorious over. And God was just preparing you for the big fight. He's preparing you for that giant that continues to weigh you down. This morning, we're going to look at that. We're going to find that giant in our life. All right, so here we go. David gets his gear up and he goes and he begins to make his way to where this big mountain is, and this valley, and this other mountain where these two armies are set up. As he got there, all these tents and all this stuff had been set up on this mountainside. They were set up just like an army would set up. They had their tents in the back. They had their front line. They had their soldiers. They had all their spears and all their ground infantry right there ready to go. But nobody was making a move. As David began to walk up, he heard all these guys, all these big soldiers, these guys that had committed their life to fight for the Israelite army. The guys that said, I'll do anything to die for my country. But he heard them talking. He heard them talking about this massive giant, this guy that come out and just basically cussed God and God's people and said, I'll take any of you guys on. All you guys are a bunch of sissies. You won't come across this valley. You won't come across here and fight me like a man. Well, heck no, dude, you're big as a house. And that's exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about in fear what was going to happen. We're going to be defeated. There's no way I can defeat that giant. He's bigger than me. He's faster than me. He's stronger than me. We don't even have a weapon that I think can penetrate his armor. What do we do? David kept walking up and he goes, man, guys, what are you talking about? We're God, you're God's people. You're God's army. Why in the world are you sitting here talking about you can't defeat something? We can defeat anything through him. And what's funny is, man, the soldiers, you know what? I find this a lot of times in young kids. In this youth group that's up here and stuff, man, they have a heart, man. They're like, man, we can do anything. And the adult will sit there and tell them, man, hush your mouth. You can't do that. There's no way. It's no possibility. Kids, I'm telling you, through God, you can do anything. Absolutely. And adults, shame on us. Shame on us for deterring them from that. Who are we to say what God can do and what he can't do? As David began to walk up there, he told him, man, guys, you got to understand, man, we're God's people. God can do anything through us. He will not allow us to fail. He will not allow us to be defeated. We may lose a battle. We may lose a little bit of a skirmish or whatever. We may find ourselves hurt, wounded, but not defeated. No way. And they said, shh, boy, hush. They may hear you. And David's like, man, let them hear me. I don't care. Like, boy, shut your mouth. Yes. Have you seen how big he is? I don't care how big he is. That's it. We're carrying you to Saul. We're carrying you to our leader. He's going to tell you to hush. He's going to send you back to your daddy. As he went up on the front line, his brothers are going, man, David, what have you done now? David, you've run your mouth again. David, you need to hush. David looked at him and said, no, you need to stand for your God. You need to believe in the one that has brought you here. And you need to fight. Fight like he wants you to fight. Do what he's asked you to do. Be the man that you're supposed to be. Saul says, man, you sure are talking a lot of stuff, David. Do you understand what you're up against? And he said, yeah, I know exactly what I'm up against. He said, well, do you believe, David said, do you believe that I've defeated a lion and a bear? He said, you've done what? He said, yes. The God that I'm talking about empowered me and anointed me to defeat a lion and a bear. He says, anybody in your army that's done that? He said, well, I'm telling you, he said, by God and the God that I serve, I can defeat that giant. Saul's got a decision to make here, guys. I mean, he's going to look goofy. He's going to look stupid. Sending a 14-year-old boy to defeat and fight Goliath? Sounds very far-fetched, doesn't it? But you know what? I look around this room right now, here at the Highlands, and I see a lot of far-fetched stories that God has changed lives. That everybody else in this room would have said it's gone and defeated forever. But God has risen up and put them back on top again to serve him.